Hello everyone. You're listening to the Cobcast. I'm Cobb and this is the cast. What you're hearing now is a crowded hall at the Anatole Hilton in Dallas. People were flooding out of a ballroom where former President Donald Trump just capped off the Conservative Political Action Conference with one of his famous speeches. The crowd was pretty psyched to see him, including a guy I spoke to just after Trump left the stage. Eugene Rivera made the trip from New Jersey to attend CPAC. He insisted the election was fraudulent and the insurrection at the Capitol wasn't exactly an insurrection. "I went there with my brother," he said. "I didn't at all feel threatened by any type of white supremacists. That's all fake news. I have video to prove it on my phone right now." Just for the record, video of the insurrection does show people attacking Capitol Police, vandalizing the Capitol grounds, and storming the building. Rivera thinks the country is going down the drain. He's hoping Trump will run in 2024 with Florida Governor Ron DeSantis as his vice presidential candidate. He also hopes for a spring cleaning of what he calls Republicans in name only, or rhinos in the party. The number of them is dwindling, he said, and what will be left is President Trump's Republican Party. If you're not familiar, the Conservative Political Action Conference, or CPAC, is this annual gathering of conservatives where they lay out a bunch of priorities in the party for the coming years. There's one big event every year that's sometimes followed by smaller ones, like the one in July at the Anatole Hilton in Dallas. I was covering the event for the Dallas Observer, so I drove up to the hotel and made my way inside to get checked in. Alright, we are checking in. 2:33, headed to the Trinity Ballroom, where a bulk of the speakers are going to be. I guess Don Jr. is going to be there sometime after 4. What I'm doing right now is passing by this really long line that myself and another reporter stood in for, I don't know, like at least half an hour. We thought we had to wait in this line to get into the room with the speakers, but it actually just leads into an exhibition hall with a bunch of like Trump and Republican conservative paraphernalia. Okay, here we go. Media entrance. We're here. I see Don Huffines. Wow. Alright, we are inside. I'm gonna try to get as close as possible. Oh, do I just sit here? The main speaking sessions at the conference opened with a goofy cartoon poking fun at the Biden administration, his policies, and the media's attention to his love of ice cream.
Come on, man!
I ask everyone this. Are you a capitalist or a socialist?
Higher prices for toilet paper, diapers, soft drinks, plane tickets, a tank full of gas.
Chocolate chip.
A shortage of lumber is adding about $36,000 to the cost of building a typical single-family home.
Give me a break.
Learning that their taxes...
Lieutenant Governor Dan Patrick and American Conservative Union Chairman Matt Schlapp took the stage afterward to tell the crowd that the American left is hurtling the country toward chaos. Patrick has twice chaired Trump's Texas campaigns for president. On stage at CPAC, he said Trump asked if he was ready to do it again. Patrick said Texas stands with Trump, CPAC, God, and the Bible.
I don't know what Donald Trump's going to do in 2024, but I can assure you that his willingness to fight and stand up is honored here in Texas. It wasn't an election in 2016. It was a revolution. Hard-working, good people, black, white, and brown, stood together and elected Donald Trump as president. And the reason the Democrats hated him so much is they were one step away from their dream of controlling the country. You see, the left has been working for decades to take over education and higher education, and in large part they have. To take over the media, and in large part they have. They had one more goal: to take the Supreme Court. And Donald Trump stopped them. Can you imagine the court we would have today at Hillary won? That's why they hate Donald Trump. Because he stopped them when they thought they had victory in their hand. And we know in 2020, he had even millions more that voted for him. And that army is still there. And he is still there. And those policies and those principles are still there. And I can tell you that here in Texas, we stand with President Trump. In Texas, we stand for the conservative values and principles of CPAC. We stand unashamedly on the Word of God in the Bible. And I know that together, we in Texas will come together in 2022, and we will keep this a red state. We will take back Congress and put Pelosi in the unemployment line. And Chuck Schumer in the unemployment line. And in 2024, Trumpism will rise again. God bless you. God bless Texas. God bless America.
The weekend at the Anatole was filled with this kind of rhetoric, downplaying the insurrection and the pandemic, and claiming the presidential election was stolen, even though it wasn't. But with all the people and ideas organizers allowed in at the convention, I was a bit surprised that they turned away a guy named Nick Fuentes. Dressed in a navy blue suit and reflective Pit Viper sunglasses, white nationalist Nick Fuentes stood outside the Dallas hotel and readied himself for a press conference about how CPAC had banned him from attending. Inside the hotel, thousands of people gathered over the weekend for CPAC's America Uncancelled, which drew bigwig Republican politicians like the former president. True to form, Fuentes vowed to deliver the most racist, the most sexist, the most anti-Semitic, the most Holocaust-denying speech in all of Dallas that weekend. He and a group of his supporters then marched inside chanting America First and White Boy Summer. They were removed by security shortly after. Joking, a couple of his followers told me QAnon would be giving a press conference across the street and that I should be there. CPAC may have barred Fuentes, but a casual stroll through the conference suggested that plenty of far-right figureheads had, in fact, been welcomed with open arms. Among the thousands of attendees roamed Stuart Rhodes, leader of the radical anti-government group Oath Keepers. The Oath Keepers have been implicated in the planning of the insurrection at the Capitol. More than a dozen of them and supporters face conspiracy charges related to the attack. According to NPR, court documents indicate investigators are looking into Rhodes himself. When the Oath Keepers leader was approached by a reporter with Salon, Rhodes got angry and told them to fuck off. Salon reported that CPAC organizers were coordinating with federal officials regarding Rhodes' presence. Also on hand were two members of the Proud Boys, an ultra-nationalist group known for attacking anti-fascists and others during protests. The Canadian government recently designated the Proud Boys a terrorist entity, but CPAC organizers apparently had no problem with their attendance. Still, there appeared to be a divide among the conference's attendees. Some of them felt like it was time for some tough love in the Republican Party. Time to move on from Trump, talk of a fraudulent election, and the crazy QAnon conspiracy theories. Others walked around proudly wearing Trump 2024 hats and Stop the Steal t-shirts, clinging on to the fringe that Trump helped make mainstream throughout his 4 years in office. On some issues spotlighted during the conference, however, they all stood united. United against critical race theory, for so-called election integrity, border security, and guns. Throughout the 3-day melee, speakers time and again insisted that liberals wanted to indoctrinate children with critical race theory, steal their guns, rig elections, and flood the country with undocumented immigrants. They urged attendees to fight back. Overall, the event seemed like a watered-down version of the Q-affiliated Forgotten Country Patriot Roundup event that took place in Dallas over Memorial Day weekend. At the Q convention, speakers claimed the election was stolen and that the pandemic was a hoax. Throughout CPAC, similar rhetoric came from the likes of Texas U.S. Representative Louis Gohmert, former Texas GOP Chairman Allen West, and others with a history of flirting with QAnon and other baseless conspiracy theories. Gohmert and Allen both spoke at the Q convention, as did Texas Agriculture Commissioner Sid Miller, who was also featured at CPAC. When Alex Berenson, a former New York Times reporter and current conspiracy theorist, lashed out at the country's mask mandates and vaccine guidance, the crowd broke out in applause. Funnily enough, the same crowd applauded Trump when he bragged about the 3 vaccines that were manufactured under his presidency. Some CPAC attendees were also given a card outlining a 7-point plan to reinstate Trump as president in days, not years, according to Business Insider. QAnon memorabilia has previously been discouraged at Trump rallies. CPAC organizers didn't respond when asked if there would be such a restriction at the Anatole Hilton, but on one of the many tables set up for vendors in the exhibition hall in the hotel lay a stack of Q t-shirts surrounded by Trump memorabilia. Another vendor sold toilet paper with images of Biden made to look like Hitler. At CPAC, Gohmert suggested that the January 6th attack on the Capitol was a leftist conspiracy and the resulting arrests were unjust. Other speakers, including Trump, also downplayed the events at the Capitol and said the election was rigged. Many attendees believed him. Trump easily won a CPAC presidential straw poll, with 70% of attendees saying they'd support him in another run for the White House. Florida Governor Ron DeSantis only got a fifth of the vote. In a second poll omitting Trump, DeSantis received about 68%. During his speech, Trump hinted at a possible 2024 run, downplayed the insurrection, and continued to spread lies about the election.
You know, the cancel culture, they're very tough on it, but the thing they really don't want is that because we're too close to home, we got too close. Read Time magazine from 4 months ago, the cover story. They couldn't help themselves. It doesn't go all the way, but it goes far enough, and you see what they did. They want to stay away from talking about the election results. Every time the media references the election hoax, they say the fraud is unproven. And while there is no evidence, there's so much evidence. You saw what happened in Georgia the other day. They found 35,000 votes. Then they deleted in Georgia over 100,000 votes. I said, because they were so bad voters. I said, why didn't you try doing it before the election? Lost by this much. Why didn't you do it before the election? There's bad things going on in this country, very bad things.
Yes, very bad things indeed. As I left the Anatole Hilton, I saw a crowd of dozens of Trump supporters across the street. They played music, chanted, and waved Trump 2024 flags, and I wondered which way the party would ultimately swing. if it would continue to embrace Trumpian values and fall further into absurdity, or grab hold of the wheel and turn the corner. I guess we'll just have to wait to hear what people are saying at the next CPAC. But anyway, this was one of my first times covering this event, and it was interesting, to say the least. One of my favorite characters at CPAC came prepared with a song. I'll let him handle the outro here, but I'm Jacob Vaughn, a journalist based out of North Texas. Some people call me Cobb, so this is the Cobbcast, and this is Uncle Jam. Thanks for listening.
I tell you what, it's a lot better for me to just talk to real folks like you, face to face. Hold on. I bet you big Tex listeners behind these prison bars, probably drinking coffee and dancing with the stars. I know I can't be pleased, all right. But Antifa keeps on posting, and that's what tortures me. So I do the Facebook shuffle on over to Parler, or Epic Time, the Right Side Broadcasting, America First. They're awesome too. But anywhere but the mainstream news, because they're crazy. You know what I'm saying? They're just crazy. Here we go. If they freed me from this prison, if free speech was really mine, I'd post the Constitution for everyone online. Far from Facebook prison, that's where I wanna stay. And with all you loyal patriots, throw fake news